present. That's what this is about. When you are present here, then don't worry about even not worrying about your questions. You know, it's like, yeah, it's given in this moment. I'm present. Everything that I need to know is given me in this moment. So, welcome to the Miracle 3 class today, the first one in the new series. And this is a long series of like 9 classes, I think, 9 or 10. But all connected to the key lessons of A Course in Miracles. And the key lessons are lessons where something is really fundamentally occurring. In fact, in every lesson there's a key. But here is more like, it seems like a compilation. Like there's more going on than in the regular lessons. Anyway, so we use these as a possibility to dive deep into these lessons. And there's always one core idea that comes up that we use to to open our vision, or to come to the crux of something really fundamental in your transformation. Something that you cannot overlook. Like you literally have to use this as a key to unlock all the possibilities of being present, of coming into Christ awareness, of coming to know yourself. And coming to know yourself is far from, absolutely has nothing to do with any kind of idea that you hold about it, or any kind of fear that you might feel around it. It has nothing to do with that. So it is actually a totally joyous occasion. So we're preparing ourselves for a joyous event and a joyous, remembering. That's exactly what is given in the lessons, using the key to unlock, it's not even a potential, like unlock the potential sounds like a nice modern statement, but like you unlock something that is already yours. So that is not even a potential, it is already yours. So you can't miss it. One day it will come to you, it's inevitable. So to clear the debris, so to speak, to clear the debris of self-identity as you describe yourself and identify yourself with, this is seen as an incredible speed up for that process. Like doing the lessons, listening to what's being shared with you in silence, seeing what happens to you when you are still, allowing yourself to feel so deep that you never did as a human being. Like this is really opening your feelings, your deep feelings, for instance, of gratitude, of love, of patience, of an incredible overwhelming beauty, of the incredible attraction of the love that you are, and that is present, and that is the only real thing about you and everything else. So this is a bit where we enter into. So we start this class with allowing that, opening ourselves up as much as we can to receive what is actually being given. And what are we going to do today? We don't know. So we receive this together. Like I voice these words, but actually it's an occurrence that doesn't even take place in time, but is given to us as in the joint purpose of what we want. We want to wake up out of this dream of nightmare of limitation and come to know our true self. And yeah, that is what's happening. So hey, that makes it also very relaxing, because there's nothing that we need to do. No, this is about receiving it and being open and being receptive and getting our ideas out of the way and leaving our, intellectual chatter mind, so to speak, for what it is, and not following these thoughts. So, and this is the practice. We come into a meditative state. In fact, we sink deeper into our awareness, feeling that it expands as we do so. Always going to the outer edges, or to that place in ourselves where we actually don't even know that it was a possibility. So that's what we realize literally, and what is happening in this process that we're in. So it gives us the opportunity to become still, to listen, and to listen, and to listen, and to let the ideas go that come up, and let all our judgments go that come up. Because love comes from the principle of oneness. It has nothing to do with differentiating or differences or judgment or anything like that. It doesn't know what that is. So you, being an extension of love, cannot judge. And even in your, say, human experience of yourself, you see how great it is to give up your judgment, and to say, oh my God, I was wrong. I really thought this and this and this, but that has nothing to do with this person or this event or this circumstances. It has nothing to do with it. Oh, I'm so happy to give this up. See, even in your human experience, you know this, how delightful it is not to have to defend a judgment. So in A Course in Miracles, as we use it, and this time we use the urtext of A Course in Miracles, just because it is giving us the, say, unedited version of A Course in Miracles. And especially with the early chapters in the textbook, because the Course in Miracles has 3 parts. This one actually 7, but 3 parts is textbook, workbook, and manual for teachers. So the textbook is, especially that part, is full of extra information compared to the blue book. That's why we use this. And the extra information is then, well, it's just being said a little different. Say it's really taken from the original script and put into a book. So it has a lot of the authenticity with which it came. And I like that, because, you know, as a human being, you try to adjust things and make it easier to read, or adjust it to how you think it best. And this is already the first mistake that you make as a human being, thinking that you know what is the best for you. So also in editing this book, it was edited. Why? That was not necessary. There was a perfect manuscript. Here it is. You know, it's like, it's not up to any one of us to adjust that. And so bringing this pure as it came, so to speak, as it is given us, it has a lot of authenticity is what I call it. It feels really close and good to use it, and that's basically my drive to use this. So coming back to the key lessons, so there are about, I don't know, maybe 40 key lessons in the course, and we did 2 series of 8 key lessons. Yeah, 8. So 16 key lessons we did already. Now we're getting to 110. And 110, lesson 110 is, I am as God created me. This is a fundamental lesson, absolutely. I am as God created me. So, and being now in this receptive state, we don't know what that means. I don't know what it means, but it feels to me in a certain way. It's like, I am as God created me. I am as God created me. I cannot oversee what that means. It's too huge, you know, for me to see what that means. So we're actually discovering, by using this lesson, we discover what it means and open ourselves up for a revelation of what it actually says, you know. So that's really quite something. So today I'm using a key word that comes to us in this text too. And but first I will start reading 110, at least part of it. Okay, so here we go. The first paragraph in lesson 110 on page 341. I am as God created me. We will repeat today's idea from time to time, for this one thought would be enough to save you and the world if you believed that it is true. Its truth would mean that you have made no changes in yourself which have reality, nor changed the universe so that what God created was replaced by fear and evil, misery and death. If you remain as God created you, remain as God created you, fear has no meaning. Evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. So this is like a totally key sentence. So I'm putting a line right under it right now. So I'll read it again. If you remain as God created you, fear has no meaning. Evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. So that's a fundamental idea that we share. So if this world is not real, like if fear does not exist, and we're still an extension of the love of God, then exactly that what I said in the beginning is taking place. You actually start to recognize that there is no separation from the love of God. Like what comes from oneness is one and cannot distinguish itself from anything. So and that is, there is no evil and terror and disaster if this is real. See, and then it's like you could, if you accept this, there would be no reason for you to do even this course. You know, it's like apparently there's something has happened that you are not accepting this idea, because you think that what you see is real, that what you hear is real, and what you think is what is going on in the world is real. And now we're actually coming to the point where we recognize, oh my God, I might be mistaken about all of this. So, yeah, how am I supposed to look at this? Because there appears to be a world out there that doesn't seem to be very loving. And I'm in a relationship that might not be too loving. Or I see a lot of disease and disaster. And that has nothing to do with what God created. How am I supposed to deal with that? Like I cannot ignore it, can I? See, all these things come up, and that's why it's always with A Course in Miracles too. It's like, here's a statement of truth, like I am as God created me. That is the truth about me. I am as God created me, and that is a very comforting idea because it comes from oneness. It's a total and whole idea. And at the same time, you have your, say, a human response to what you read. And when you start thinking about it, or when you start forgetting it, you start to accept something else, like as if there's an alternative to the love of God, which of course there isn't. So in this process that we're in, that we call our awakening, you see that more and more and more you start to accept your own position in this transition. You start to accept, like, okay, yes, a part of my mind is really believing that is true, but I'm in this moment of silence, in this moment that I come to myself, I'm not going to say connect with that, but actually I'm going to connect with what is real about me and leave that behind for a moment. Let all these ideas go for a second. Let all my ideas about disaster, disease and death, let them be for what they are. And choose literally to go within instead of say digesting what I see and thinking about what I perceive. So now we continue. If you remain, so we go to the third paragraph. If you remain as God created you, appearances cannot replace the truth. Health cannot turn to sickness, nor can death be substitute for life, or fear for love. All this has not occurred if you remain as God created you. You need no thought but just this one to let redemption come to light the world and free it from the past. You need no thought but this one to let redemption come to light the world and free it from the past. So here's our word. The word is redemption. Like, oh, yes, redemption. What was that again? Redemption. Say, bringing it back to where it was, like leveling it again. Like, no, there's no sin, there's no guilt, there's no disaster, there's no lack, No, it's all, it actually has not occurred. So that's your redemption. It's like it's an undoing of all the ideas that you hold about what is not right about what you see. It comes back to, oh yes, I am as God created me. That's what will save me in that sense. So that's an important word, redemption. That word comes back today a couple of times. So L4, so the fourth paragraph. In this one thought is all the past undone, the present safe to quietly extend into a timeless future. If you are as God created you, then there has been no separation of your mind from His, and no split between your mind and other minds, and only unity within your own. So 5. The healing power of today's idea is limitless. It is the birthplace of all miracles, the great restorer of the truth to the awareness of the world. Practice today's idea with gratitude. This is the truth that comes to set you free. This is the truth that God has promised you. This is the word in which all sorrow ends. The healing power of today's idea is limitless. It is the birthplace of all miracles, the great restorer of the truth to the awareness of the world. This is what this is. It's like, I am as God created me. So this is the one lesson in the Course in Miracles that will return a couple of times, I think 3 times or so. I am as God created me. I am as God created me. So it's like, I am as God created me, not what I make of myself. No, I am as God created me. I've nothing to say about that in that sense. Like it's taken care of. It is an extension of God, of the love that I am. And that is my reality. So in our storm of awakening, or however that is for you, it might be quiet and peaceful, that would be nice too. But in this intensity that we are in our transformation, this is what remains, like right in the center. I am as God created me. Whatever I can think about myself, this is the only truth about me. So whatever I can think about the world, I can invest in it, and I can make it real as much as I want, but I will return to the truth of myself. And that is really like an incredible speed up if you use this lesson as an say response to temptation. To if you think that something's not right, or if you think that you are right, then you can use this too. Like, oh, wait a minute. I am as God created me, and God is what love is. Like, God is what love is. Love does not know about differences. Love does not know about, say, separation. No, it only can recognize itself as the only thing there is. And that is so comforting, and that's so, like if you use this in your meditation, it is lovely. So that's why it says too, it's like And don't forget to come into gratitude, to be grateful that you do these exercises. They actually set you free. So when you do them, you might feel like, well, I'm actually not feeling that much, or I don't know if it's working for me, or I don't know if I do it right, or who knows what comes up when you do this. And you see that something is going on with your own perception of yourself. Like your observation of yourself is different than what God gives you. So how can this come together? You know, how can this come together in your awareness? If you are as God created you and have that fully in your awareness, there is nothing that can be lacking. There can be no such thing as sickness. There can be no such thing as disaster or disease. And there can be nothing like death. You know, it's like death does not exist in this. So how can this possibly be true in this world that I appear to be living in? I see only that. I see only disaster, disease, and death. And now how am I supposed to look at that? See, and then we are here on lesson 110. So we have a little bit of exercise. We did some exercise. You know, it's like 110 lessons. We did this lesson a couple of weeks ago. So like we had so much exercise already. We really trained our minds to get a different perspective. And still we end up with a lesson like this, in which we actually see that we might not even know what this is all about altogether. So this brings in also the element of patience. Like you got to be patient with yourself. This undoing that is taking place is an undoing of something you have taught yourself, which took, I don't know what your age is, but it took a moment for you to learn that. So the undoing of your learning takes a moment too, even though it goes quicker than the way that you learned as a human being. I can assure you that. So coming back to the idea of redemption, really accepting that for yourself, accepting the fact that no, there's no sin, no, there's no guilt, no, I don't have to be afraid of my redemption, and I don't have to be afraid of it. No, what is given to me is the fulfillment that I'm looking for, even though it doesn't seem that way, maybe directly at all. That really does not matter. So we skip a little bit into the textbook, going to chapter 10. 10G, where you see we can read more about redemption. And in a great way. Let me see. Yeah, here we are. So it's on page 117 of the textbook. It's chapter 10, God and the Ego. So this is G8 that I'm starting with. It's really actually pretty wild. We left off close to the Easter time, you know, and it's like we pick it up right here immediately again. So the themes that are actually say running through the Course in Miracles have a lot to do with resurrection, have a lot to do with the end of crucifixion and nailing yourself to the cross. You'll see that in the next sentence that we're reading. So it's like this Easter theme is continuously present, because that shift is exactly the teaching of Jesus. In fact, it's like, no, there's no such thing as a body. No, there's no such thing as say death. Look at me. No, I'm resurrected. I'm the resurrection and the life. It has nothing to do with any idea that you hold about what you think is going to happen with you. Okay, so G8. You have nailed yourself to a cross and placed a crown of thorns upon your own head. And yet you cannot crucify God's Son, for the will of God cannot die. His Son has been redeemed from his own crucifixion, and you cannot assign to death whom God has given eternal life. The dream of crucifixion still lies heavy on your eyes, but what you see in dreams is not reality. While you perceive the Son of God is crucified, you are asleep. And as long as you believe that you can crucify him, you are only having nightmares. You who are beginning to wake are still aware of dreams and have not yet forgotten them. The forgetting of dreams and the awareness of Christ comes with the awakening of others to share your redemption. The forgetting of dreams and the awareness of Christ comes with the awakening of others to share your redemption. And here, I love this so much. You will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. If I live in you, you are awake. Yet you must see the works I do through you, or you will not perceive that I have done them unto you. Do not set limits on what you believe I can do through you, or you will not accept what I can do for you. For it is done already, and unless you give all that you have received, you will not know that your Redeemer liveth, and that you have awakened with him. Redemption is recognized only by sharing it. Wow, that is so huge and so beautiful. That's so lovely. See, the great thing is here for me. What I read here is then it is a call in you, like nobody else can hear it. You can accept anything from anyone else, but this call is what you will hear. It is a call to awaken, and you've heard it. That's why you are here. That's why you listen to this, and that's why you participate in the class, and that's why you do these exercises. So it's like a divine principle has touched you. Otherwise you would not have heard this. You wouldn't even be able to read the book. You wouldn't even be able to find it. So that's really comforting and very practically, say, provable. Like, no, this book and this teaching comes to you because you asked for it and you were open. You literally heard the call to awaken. So, and then it's like, it's up to you how long this will take, but don't limit yourself in any ways. What it says here too is that don't limit yourself in any way how I can work through you. The Christ, lives in me and through me, and allowing that to occur in any possible way is really what this is for. And we practice this in class. This is why we come into this meditative state. So that's why we become receptive, because hey, we're actually instruments. We have all the possibilities to share this redemption with one another. That's how you start to recognize it works for you too. You know, and it's not that you have to ponder information or to put people under pressure in order to hear this. No, not at all. Because that was not the way you received this either. No, this is really like completely voluntarily. It is completely miraculous. It is not under your conscious control, but it's happening. And that's why it's so amazing. And that's why you grow your certainty that it's actually working in ways you can't believe how well it works and how effortless it is. It doesn't ask for any sacrifice on your part at all. So that's why I love to read this, and this is like making this really complete, because it's referring to like the Christ liveth in you. That's the reality of you. That's not some other entity that lives in you. No, this is you. You recognize your Christ realization. You recognize the Christ in you, And by sharing it, you recognize it in your brother. And seeing that by recognizing it in him, you recognize it in yourself. So the party is complete. So this is really like the idea of so you share it with one another, and sharing is then really recognizing it, you know, and also recognizing your oneness with your brother. That means instead of putting on your say your perception modus of distinguishing, is this person holy enough, is this whatever your judgment is there no exception to the love of God? Can I see something that might not be complete about this person? Or does he have the right credentials to be even doing what he's doing? Or who knows what your defense will be? Like, all of that is not necessary anymore if you start to come into the realization that you are as God created you. Like, fear is meaningless in the idea of being as God created you. Why would you be afraid of if there's such thing as oneness where you are a whole part of? There's no distinction, there's no defense, there's no attack. There's no need for you to become other than you were created. So you can stay in that quiet place, in this quiet extension of you as you were created. So it's a really great paragraph to read, Experience and Perception, from chapter 10G. It's really lovely. And then we have another one. So I'm going to the next, and that's page chapter 12, page 331. Oh yeah, maybe 330 we start. The fear of redemption. We have touched this before, but I will read some of it. The fear of redemption. Okay, we're doing good on time. The fear of redemption. You may wonder why it is so crucial that you look upon your hatred and realize its full extent. Whoa, okay. You may wonder why it's so crucial that you look upon your hatred and realize its full extent. And you may think that it would be easy enough for the Holy Spirit to show it to you and dispel it without the need for you to raise it to awareness yourself. But there's one more complication which you have interposed between yourself and the atonement that you do not yet realize. We have said that no one will countenance fear if he recognizes it. But in your disordered state, you are not afraid of fear. You do not like it, but it is not your desire to attack which really frightens you. You are not seriously disturbed by your hostility. You keep it hidden because you are more afraid of what it covers. I didn't get it. Let's read it again. At least part of it. In your disordered state, so this is the last part of the paragraph, you are not afraid of fear. Hey, that is interesting. You're actually not afraid of fear. It's not really that you like it, but it is not your desire to attack, which really frightens you. You are not seriously disturbed by your hostility. You keep it hidden because you are more afraid of what it covers. So it's like you're afraid of the light that's beneath all of this. So in your human development, you started to confuse, like, you think that you need fear because it gives you information about your surroundings. Like, oh no, you need to be afraid of that. No, you cannot just accept that, or something like that. You know, it's like you get used to the idea of fear. You actually use it as a guide in your daily functioning. If you weren't afraid, you would cross the street and you would be hurt, or something like that. You know, it's like that. You have your own examples with that. So you actually got accustomed to fear. So you confuse fear with certainty or safety. And that's a weird idea, of course. So now, in the undoing of this all, that is actually being mixed. Like, you don't even know anymore what to think about it, or how to be free of fear, or you don't even recognize. I know this from myself too. I did not even recognize my fear until I totally felt it. But I did not even feel it as fear, what I was doing while I was defending myself big time. So that's really interesting, isn't it? It's like you adjust yourself to the circumstances and the place where you think that you are, and call that normal or reality or something like that. So here it is being shaken. It's like, it is shaken. No, so you're actually afraid of what's beneath the fear or beneath your defenses. You actually think that you're going to lose something if you don't defend yourself. And that's a very uncertain state. So this is what it says here, which is really helpful. So that's why it's so crucial to look at your hatred. It's like, what are you hating? What is it for? What are you actually hating? What are you really hating? So what is beneath all of that? So what is it that makes you defensive? Why are you defensive? Why do you think that you need to protect yourself? So you need to discover that for yourself. And this is what you do in your exercises, because in the lessons that we did before here too, we looked at these things. You know, so here's just a recollection of these parts. Okay, so we continue at C5. 12C5 on page 131. You have built your own whole insane belief system because you think you would be helpless in God's presence. And you would save yourself from His love because you think it would crush you into nothingness. So, and here's this, like, did you recognize that? That you actually were thinking that? Are you aware that you were thinking that? That, like, if you would say stop defending yourself, if you would completely surrender into the love of God, would that feel as entering into nothingness? Probably the idea has crossed your mind already. Like, you can recognize that in the way that you think, that that's a part of it. Really interesting, isn't it? So it's like we dissect really the defense against truth, just to see what you're doing. It's like an insane belief system, but you got to recognize it in order for you to let it go. So that's why we keep coming to these classes and keep repeating this, because it's like unbelievable how deeply this is fabricated into our consciousness. Really think that defense is a good thing, and that in fact you want to keep your separation. You think you are going to be helpless in God's presence, and you would save yourself from His love because you think it would crush you into nothingness. Like, what would be left of you if you melt into the love of God? What would be left of you? So you think that that's a bad thing. That is interesting, isn't it? Like, that's a real fear. Like, oh no, I don't dare to surrender into the love of God. Like, who knows, I'm never gonna come back, or something like that. Like, there's a weird idea connected to it, which is not rational, but it's something you can walk around with, and that's why when this happens, that you start to come to this, say, melting into the heart of God, that you can feel it as a death episode, that you really think that you're going to die, which is an insane idea, of course. But this is exactly how you saw it, as dying. Like, you have done everything to prevent it. So that's why you build up this thought system, belief system. You're afraid it would sweep you away from yourself and make you little. For you believe that magnitude lies in defiance and attack is grandeur. You think you have made a world that God would destroy, and by loving him, which you do, you would throw away this world, which you would. So you think that the world that you made, God would destroy. So, and this is of course, God is not destroying it. No, it is more like it is falling apart. Your belief in it is shaking. You don't even trust it completely anymore. You don't know what to think about it anymore. So it is changing. So God does not crush it. God does not do anything with it. No. Returning back to our lesson 110, it is, I am as God created me. Like, what is real about me will always be me. Will always be part of me. Like, will always be an extension of the love of God, and will always be me. And that is, you don't lose yourself in that, in the way that you think it does. You know, that's good to realize. It is not a scary event or something. No, like, what is real exists. What is not real is changing and disappears. So, but what you made real, you don't want to lose. Or maybe you want to lose them now. It's like, what you made real for yourself is what you see as the world around you. Now, coming back to a whole different vision, you see that what is real will always exist. It has life eternal. It has nothing to do with your ideas, and it is complete and whole and perfect. It has no such thing as disaster, disease, and death. It is life eternal. And you don't know what that is. You don't know how that feels. So it's, in that sense, at least not with your human mind. You don't know how that is. But you recognize it when you start to glimpse it. You know, you start to when you start to recognize this in yourself, you know how safe it feels. It's like, coming home. You know, it's like, finally, here's my release of the cross I was carrying. Like, finally this resurrection can take place in me. I'm free of my worldly ideas. At least I catch glimpses of it now. And deeper I go into it, and it actually only makes me totally happy. I've never ever thought anything like this could happen to me, and here it is. So everything that falls away is more space for the reality of who I am. Nothing is in the way anymore. It's like, this is our invitation. So this is, I am as God created me, the first attempt, so to speak. The first attempt, because we get 3 options here. It will come back a couple of times, this specific lessons. And I don't know if they're all key lessons, if we are going to use that in this lesson. But at least this one was. So thank you so much for your presence and attention here. And practice well, because it's like so great to discover what is possible, and seeing that you are the one where the Christ liveth in, you know, and works through. So expose that, show that, share that, because you're only giving to yourself. You're not giving to anyone else. You can only, if you're one with all that is, you can only give to yourself. That's what I love about this. So thank you so much, and see you soon. Thank you.